All right. So I'm Mr. Ryan Huber. We have Garth Cornwell, principal, and Mandy Cahoon, middle school counselor here as well. We'll definitely be able to answer everyone's questions tonight, so that won't be a problem. So hopefully by the time I'll go through this pretty quick because it's been a long day for everybody. But hopefully you'll learn a few things, and then also we'll have plenty of time to ask questions because there's usually there's no way to cover everything. So we'll get to the basics and get through that. And that's basically the administration for the high school. I work with the 9th through 11th graders and then also focus with the career technical education. Mr. Ross, who just finished a dual enrollment, and he's one of the other counselors, he works with seniors and then the dual enrollment part of our process, which I help with that as well because we have sometimes sophomores and juniors taking that, so I'll help them get enrolled in that as well. But basically, what you're looking at, I'm going to just come out a little late here. It's kind of hard to look at. That's your overall Michigan Merit curriculum. Okay. The one thing that's changed just with the last year's freshmen, the class of 2028, is the finance half credit. But other than that, that is what is required to graduate in the state of Michigan and here at Shepherd High School. Thank you. Out of all those requirements, one of the most confusing and that we get a lot of questions about is the world language. So in our state, there's basically three ways to get that 2 credit requirement. And all of them require at least 1 credit of foreign language. As you see all those options, you gotta have at least 1. You can just stick with the option 1 up there, and you either are in Spanish right now, or you had it last year probably, right? You 8th graders? Yes? Heads are nodding. Okay, they're alive. So either they've had 1 credit already or will have 1, and then they could take it again the freshman year in high school and then be done. Or if they really hate it and don't want any part of it, they plan to take a CTE class, like they know they're going to be doing construction trades, well, you complete that covers it. Or to get an additional credit in the visual, performing, and applied arts, which means 2 credits overall in that area. And that means 4 classes, right? Because each class is a half a credit. Usually, I bet 90% of our seniors get that anyway, and they might not even try very hard, right? Because they take one of the 4 art classes. They might have taken metals or woods or yearbook, and then there's even CTE classes that count. So usually that's not hard to get. Okay, so that's the world language requirement. You might hear some people at other schools say, well, you have to have 2 years of foreign language at their school. And some schools may say that, but technically there are more ways to do that. So here's your English, pretty basic. Science, next year will be physical science. A lot of math in that one. That can be a challenge for some students, but it's good to challenge them early. And then the social studies, they'll have world studies next year, U.S. history, econ, and civics. They're junior. 3 credits there. And then the math is one where there's a lot of variables. Some of you maybe are earning high school credit right now. Anyone in advanced math right now? Okay. 1, 2, 3 of you maybe? No, 2 of you? Okay. So, well, if you take algebra next year, you'll be geometry, and then algebra 2 your junior year, and then you could go on to more math. We offer that through mid with our dual enrollment. So if you finish algebra 2 and you plan on going to college to pursue a career with more math, a lot of our students will take dual enrollment statistics or pre-calculus, and then some of them even go on and can get to Calc 1 their senior year. So that's the math route. 4 credits are the minimum requirement. And then the 12th year math experience. So your final year of high school, you do need to have a class with a math component to it. Could be finance, could be a construction trade class, the CT class in Mount Pleasant. It could be a dual enrollment math class. So there are a lot of ways to be able to get that, but you do have to have a math your senior year. And feel free to, if you have any questions, just raise your hand at any time, and I will definitely stop and answer. And then our high school format looks like this. Those of you new to our high school, so 5 classes per day. So we do the trimester like you guys are familiar with. The big difference is with 5 classes, and they're longer, 74 minutes. Okay, so more is covered in one day in the high school than compared to the middle school. Okay, so that's one way to think about it. Like if you miss a day of high school, you're missing more material than you would in middle school, because they have shorter classes, and they have those classes all year long usually. Okay, ours are 12 weeks, okay, 74 minutes, and it is a half credit per course. And then you need 27 and a half to graduate, but you will be offered a chance, and a lot of kids might graduate with 30 credits. If you get a credit or 2 in middle school, you're going to finish with 31 credits maybe. So plenty of opportunities. You really have to drop the ball a lot of times to not get to 27 and a half credits. And then some future things to think about, like we just had a dual enrollment meeting. So that can be an option to start your sophomore year, potentially. The 5th year early college program, you got a couple of years to think about that. And then CTE with 20 different programs, 17 in Mount Pleasant, 3 in Alma, all kinds of things. You probably went on a field trip there last year, right? They do that in 7th grade? Yes, nodding head nods. Okay, they're still barely awake now, but.
It's like they had the day off of school or something.
Yeah, that's right. You guys had it easy today. All right. So, what we'll be starting on Monday is working on their EDPs, their plans for their classes next year and beyond. But we'll really be focusing on next year. So on Monday, I'll be coming down to Mr. T's room. Mrs. Cahoon will be helping. We'll get them into, into a program called Naviance and show them how to pick their classes and what's available to them. I'll hand them a half piece of paper that looks like this. And they'll be able to, have a few choices of electives. Okay? And some of them may have 5 or 6 electives, because PE is kind of an optional one. And some of them may have 4, and depending if you have band or choir in there, that takes up 3 spots. So that's basically the biggest decisions they'll be making for next year is, what electives to take. And then notice the algebra path. So some of you will be in algebra next year, which is on the left, and then the geometry path on the right. All other core classes are the same, except there could be a difference in math, and that changes the amount of electives sometimes. Any questions on this? All right, don't worry about your electives yet. You have a lot of time to look them over. In our course offering guide, which is on our website, I'll show you in a little bit here. You can look at descriptions of classes. If you're wondering about that, you'll have time. So I'll show you on Monday like how to go into Naviance and pick your classes. You'll have time to think it over, talk with your parents about it. It doesn't have to be done that day. We actually will give them, we're giving them until like March 1st to get it done. So plenty of time to get their requests in there. And then, the process of that is they'll come August, usually end of July, August, they'll get their schedule. And this is a sample of what it could look like. Only difference now is band is 5th hour. As it says up there, it's under 4th hour. And they, they may find on there they might not have all the classes they requested. We can't guarantee that. We might not even offer a class that they request. It just depends on how many kids in our school have requested the classes that they did. And then you're looking at, where you'll have one thing that you're not used to is right now you have history class all year long, right? English all year long, and science all year long. Well, that will be different next year. You'll have a trimester without one of those. And math, Algebra 1 is one of those that is all year long. Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 are typically all year long for our high school. Any questions? Another one with like a geometry. If you have geometry, you might have another elective in there. So you might have a try where you have 3 or 4 core classes, and then you potentially could have one where you might only have 2 core classes. We try to balance it out. And if you see it where something's not right, because there are mistakes sometimes in Power School, there's time in August where we can make changes and try to correct things. So one other difference in high school is grading. So there's a lot of emphasis on the summative assessments. 60 to 80% is what each class has to be in that range. So a lot of them are at 80%. So that is something that might be a little bit different. It takes kids maybe a little bit to get used to. They do what's called LTs, which are like a lot of practice or quizzes that they can redo sometimes in some classes. And it is valuable for them to do that and take advantage of that. So that is not a lot of emphasis on homework, but doing that homework and having the practice, of course, is a good habit. Anyone want to be a college athlete here? No? Grading? No? Okay. Maybe we'd have one. I'll put this out there anyway, just in case people watch the recording. You do have to have a certain grade point average to be eligible for Division I or Division II athletics. And it also is focused on core classes, so it doesn't count the PE class or the art or metals class. So they will look at your grade in just core classes. And for Division I, it's, as you can see, 2.3, Division II, 2.2, and Division III doesn't have a GPA requirement for sports, nor does like junior colleges. So, some things that you guys probably already do, but might be some good reminders here or some things you haven't thought about. Good attendance, I'm guessing, like you guys are probably pretty good on that, looking at these 3 students. We want to make sure one thing for our high schoolers is to check your email frequently. That's how we communicate, it's how teachers can communicate. That's what's expected. So check your email. If you're not doing that, start to get in the habit of that. You're going to take the PSAT in a couple months. Take that seriously. It's seeing those scores and being able to watch that growth is helpful. And I've seen students, and not usually in 8th, usually it's pretty good, but sometimes they'll take it their 8th grade year and then their 10th grade. One of those years they kind of just blow it off, and you're looking at their scores, and that shows pretty easily. And they often, of course, regret doing that because they want to see growth, and that's what we want to see as well. So you're going to do that, and we will update your EDP, show you how to do that, and you can keep updating that as it goes on. And bottom 2, get involved in things. A lot of research shows how important that is. It doesn't have to be always school things. It could be community, church things. It doesn't matter. Make sure your students are involved, and that helps just overall mental health and performance in school and all those things. pass it over.
They just got
Yeah.
on that concrete seat. And go overkill the microphone.
Yeah.
That's right.
For
For the recording, yeah. Before we go on to this one, parents, that last slide when I talked about volunteering, do something, do something, do something, do something. I've got a senior right now, and every single scholarship application wants your leadership role and your volunteer. Like every single one of them. So just go do those things. And most of the time they're fun. So go find something you like to do and go do it. Super fun. Parents, we at the high school, day to day in, class out, the kids live in something called Schoology. Middle school, 8th grade, you guys doing that in math right now? Okay, you're gonna be in that every hour. Parents can get you a login so you can see exactly what they see when they're there. Grades are updated in Power School, but there is a lag in when it's updated. Some classes update, like the teacher can force it. Sometimes it's like not until Sunday night. So what you see in one might not be what you see in the other, but you'll have access to both of those things. You guys are doing all these things already. Like you're here for this tonight. You're watching this online. You're doing all these things. Continue. When they get to high school, they're going to only have 5 teachers. Their teachers have 120 students every day. They're full. They're busy. Phone calls are tough for them to get in during the day, but they will email. They're great about emailing. If you have questions, send email. Copy your kids on that email. When my kids have to send their teachers an email, I have them copy me on it. That way I know the conversation is going on. Hover, hover, hover. Just don't hover too close. Give them little space as they grow. But keep tabs on them. Get them involved in stuff. Talk about what they're going to do after school. And like I said earlier, get out and do those things early so it's a habit to like volunteer, be involved. Whether it's church, whether it's in the community, the animal shelter, get out and do those things. Mr. Harkrader is our athletic director. That was my role here the last 3 years. His office is literally right outside these doors. So if you need something, he's right there. We deal with stuff online all the time. If you're already in Final Forms, guess what? We're using that next year to enroll in school. So you're going to double dip in that one. It's going to help a lot of people, especially us in the office. If you're involved in stuff, just like everything else in classroom, have your kid advocate for themselves with the adult right there. If it's their coach, advocate with. They need to advocate with coach. If it's their teacher, they need to advocate with their teacher. If that's not working, that's when you want to step in. But push them a little further, kick them a little bit to do their own thing. It's a skill that so many kids don't have it. As far as how we communicate with you guys, we do some things very similar to the middle school. Emails and phone numbers, make sure they're in Power School because that's where we find everything to contact you. When you enroll next year with Final Forms, you're going to update all that stuff too. If something changes, just let us know, get that change made. Our Facebook page is really active at the high school. Our website is active. That's a little more static information. One of my roles the last few years was in that technology communication stuff, and I don't like social media, but it communicates out to a lot of people a lot faster than the website does. We do power announcements, sort of. We changed it a little bit. Just like the middle school right now, you guys get that thing on Fridays, I think? Saturdays? I can't remember when the middle school does theirs. The s'more that comes out Sunday? Okay. I schedule ours. I wrote it today. It's scheduled for Sunday at 6 p.m. Students, you guys get it at 5:55 in your school email. You get it 5 minutes ahead of your parents. But your parents get it to their phone via text. You have to go check your email. And I'll tell the 3 of you right now.
There's prizes in the fall if you read it and respond to it.
No, not for parents. Well, I guess if you did show up and get a popsicle or whatever on those hot days, there's usually leftovers. But all those things are in those weekly updates. When there's special events, we send those things out through those. Most of those come now via text. What we found was that the text message is received much better than all the other stuff. If there is something specific that you guys are like, hey, I missed this, call the office. We will do our best to communicate those things out to others. Maybe there's an error in the system. I had a parent this afternoon who she was like, I have not gotten anything from you since October. Why did you stop doing them? I love those. Well, she changed her email address in PowerSchool and she spelled her name wrong. So it was going to nobody. And she happened to get a new phone number that she hadn't updated. So if you're missing things, you stop getting stuff, just come and ask. We'll help for sure. The middle school teachers are great. High school teachers are great. They want to communicate. They want your kids to do well. If you're not on the social media stuff, make sure you get on the social media just so you kind of see what's coming, what's happening. Athletically, there's a Facebook page for athletics also that's pretty active. If you want to know schedules and what's happening every week, Mr. Hartgrader posts it out, I think on Fridays or Saturdays for the next week's schedules. If your kid's involved in a team, they're going to have that anyway. Counseling's got their Onward Shepherd page that has, I was on there the other day, I didn't realize how much stuff was there. It can be a little overwhelming, don't freak out, but there's a lot of information. And then students, you guys are going to be on Naviance on Monday. It's really not too hard to navigate. And you don't have to have all 4 years figured out by March 1st. If you don't know, it's okay. You're just going to fill in some spaces. We can change things down the road. Really, freshman year, you're going to take your core classes. You're going to get a couple of electives, and you're going to roll right along. I think, is there one more on there? Yep. In August, we do a freshman orientation. This year it was the 7th, I think, 8th of August. It's a morning. Parents, you guys drop them off here. Our student leadership, student council group, they run the morning for kids. We put them in groups of about 15 or so with 2 or 3 upperclassmen. They tour the building, they pick up their Chromebooks, they look at their schedules, they walk them through everything. Mr. Willett and I have a session where we talk through what to expect as a freshman as far as the expectations of the school and how to get involved. There's 5, 6 sessions that they rotate through. One of them is kind of a team building. They play some games, have some fun. They have a Q&A session with upperclassmen because they're not going to ask us some of the questions about high school that they want to know, but they'll ask those upperclassmen. And then we usually have like hot dogs and chips and stuff for lunch, and you guys pick them up and they head home, and then they got another week or so of summer before they come back. And that's what we have for you guys tonight. And since it's such a large crowd, if you have questions, I'm going to turn this off and you can just come talk to us. All right, thanks for coming out tonight, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Davis.
You're very welcome.